everyone, and welcome, let me move my microphone, to this special video. So, this is the final video of the little Pokeball series, and I wanted to try something a little bit different this time. Instead of showing you all of the steps, I'm just gonna show you the final result, and then we're gonna go through them. So, without further ado, this is the final video. Let's watch it again real quick. Bring myself here into the camera. So yeah, this is 120 frames. It's a little bit noisy. You can see how a couple of these things are like dancing around, the little dots. That's because the denoiser, or actually the samples, were not as high, and the denoiser blurs them out a little bit. So with a longer render time and of course longer samples, we could get something a little bit more interesting. But yeah, this is the final result. Let me show you here. I actually was working on the After Effects composition, and this is what we have. So there's a couple of interesting things here, or going around here, that I'm gonna share with you. First of all, we have this very subtle like camera movement. There's no change in focal length. It's just the camera like literally going into the scene, which thanks to the 3D allows us to get this very cool looking effect. But you can see there's a sort of like a blur effect going on, right? And this is not a blur that I did here in After Effects, which we could have done. Maybe that might have been a better idea to get like less blurriness. We actually did it with the focal length. So if you saw the last video where we were talking about focal length, or not focal length, sorry, depth of field, with depth of field, you can blur certain things out, like things that are really far away or really close to the camera, depending on the focal length that you have and on the like distance. You're gonna get a slightly different effect. These are called the stops. So depending on the stops that you have, you're gonna get a slightly different effect. So we go from a very blurry f-stop right here to a much sharper one as we get closer to the Pokeball. As you can see, the Pokeball has the first set of textures that we did on the texturing part of the process. And I want to talk about the background, because all of the background is actually CG. Like all of the trees and all of the elements are CG'd. And we have the ground that's just like a very basic dirt ground that, as you can see, gives this very nice illusion of like soil and stuff. So yeah, this was the final result. It took about 2 hours to render the 120 frames. So let's jump into the Maya scene and see what we have right here. So there's a couple of interesting things going on here. If you didn't saw the video where I talk about the content browser, which was yesterday, I believe, I did a little bit of lighting setup at the end. So this is why we have this main light right here. We have, of course, have an HDRI, this one right here, which is giving us the global illumination, and we have another light right here that's giving us a little bit of this like rim light over here, and a little bit of here on the Pokeball itself. So thanks to that, we get some nice subsurface scattering on the plants. The plants also have subsurface scattering, and the trees were a really interesting thing, because the trees, I actually brought them again from Polyhaven, but the trees were done using geometry nodes. I want to show you real quick, because it's I think it's a really interesting. So if you want me to cover how to bring an object that has a geometry nodes out of Blender into Maya, let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to do so. So this is it. This is the tree that you can get from Polyhaven, completely free. You can get the Blender scene. It's going to be exactly like what we have right here. And what they did, very smart, I would say, is they have the little branches right here, as well as the little like leaf like segments. And then on the main trunk, on this thing right here, we have a geometry nodes. As you can see, it's a modifier. We have geometry nodes, and we have different like samples. It's pretty much like if they recreated the speed tree instead of Blender for this particular tree. So I find that pretty interesting. And you can change, as you can see, the branch seed, so you can generate like multiple trees. You will always get the same like main structure, because we're not changing that. But you can change a lot of things here, and it's very interesting. The unfortunate thing is that if you try to export this by selecting the object and exporting it, you're not going to export the geometry node. So there's a little bit of a trick there that you need to learn in order to transfer this into a usable asset for Unreal or Maya. I can show you, just let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to do so. So I exported the maps right here. I used my content browser. As you can see right here, I created another scene. It's an Island Tree Maya scene. And in this one, I set up the materials as we normally do for Substance Painter, the diffuse, the color, all of that stuff, so that when I imported this thing here inside of Maya, you're going to see in just a second, the tree comes already with all of the necessary materials. So as you can see, we have the Island Tree, and Island Tree. If I select this one, for instance, which are the leaves, you can see that we have our alpha channel, our normal map, our diffuse, and our roughness. Everything connected to a very nice material, proper like naming convention and everything. And by combining all of this, I've already done this on the content video yesterday. we get this very, very functional working tree. It's a lot of polygons in the scene. You can see we're at almost 10 million polygons or 10 million triangles, which is quite a bit. It's not the end of the world. I've mentioned before, Maya and Blender, both softwares can handle like millions of polygons as long as they're like spread out in different like assets. If you have one object that has like 10 million polygons, that's when issues start to appear. But if you have a lot of like single objects, you can see all of these objects and groups that I have right here, then it's perfectly fine. Then I created something interesting here with the planes. So I have this tree right here and this leaves right here. There's like a bunch of leaves that are seen on the camera. As you can see, I pretty much used like the Walt Disney technique where I only focused on what the camera can't see. So let's go to show panels, perspective, camera 1. There we go. So as you can see, there's the little patch of grass right there, those guys right there. And then there's another little patch of grass right there. There's these planes. These planes are nothing but just like a simple plane with the same like leaf dirt texture. The leaf dirt texture, by the way, I used the Substance node. I also have a video. I'm gonna see if I can link all of the videos over here. I've never tried that, but let's see. I did a video about like linking or using the Substance assets or the Substance plugin to just bring a Substance archive and generating the textures that you're gonna need for your render. I duplicated the tree a couple of times. I created some depth by moving them around, even like underneath the ground plane. That's fine as long as they are like far away. You can get this very nice, interesting effect. And yeah, that was pretty much it for the what's the word for the compositing or for the compositions type of thing. I wanted to create this sort of like forest looking thing where we see the sun at the end or like the rays of the light at the end. So if we go to Arnold and render this real quick. Let's just give this a couple of seconds. It's taking about 40 seconds for each frame to render, which I try to calculate to get this thing done a little bit faster, and we get this. Now, one of the things that I try to do with this particular project is try to keep everything inside of Maya. Like, there's no post-production whatsoever. Everything is done inside of Maya, so what you're seeing is what you get. We don't have any sort of like a post-processing effects on After Effects or anything. It's straight out of Maya, which can be done. It's not usually done that way. Did Maya just crash? Okay, Maya just crashed. It's not usually done that way because you get more power and more options to work with when you do it like in layers and stuff. Let me open it real quick just so that I can show you the last little bit. As you can see, one of the important things here is the fog. I added an atmospheric volume, which by the way is one of the topics that we cover like quite deeply inside of our cinematic rendering course, which is available in Skillshare. You think I forgot about the Skillshare commercial? Here it is, my friends. Just a quick pause while Maya loads. Hey guys, Abraham here. I just wanted to remind you guys that we upload all of our courses to Skillshare. Skillshare is this amazing site where you can access a ton of different content to learn, improve, and grow as an artist. We have all of our courses available to watch and learn from right now in Skillshare. You can check the description down here, and Skillshare is offering 1 free month trial to their premium membership. With this membership, you're going to be able to access all of our courses and watch and learn all of the amazing things that we cover with all of the softwares. So, what are you waiting for? Check Skillshare down here below. Here we go. So yeah, here we're back at the scene. Don't worry, I remembered to save every single step of the way so that we didn't have to worry about crashes. It's super important to do anytime you do this. I'm gonna turn off the music. Hopefully we don't get a copyright strike or anything. I'm gonna make sure to place the link down here of the video that I was using as a background. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for the models. As you can see, I duplicated the little like celandine or celandine plants that we did yesterday. Brought in the trees, created or used our Substance archives to create the floor plane or the ground plane for this dirt. It's the same two lights that we had yesterday, and the final touch was this thing right here. So if you go to Arnold Renderer, you can go to Environment, and on the Atmosphere, as you can see, I created an AI Atmosphere volume, which is the volume that's giving me the main like puffy or a smoky feel to the whole scene. Let me see if I can render it. If not, actually, I'm going to show you where the options are, and then if it doesn't let me render, we'll just jump into After Effects, because I have a lot of stuff open, so that's why it's struggling a little bit more. So as you can see, we have the density. I set it really, really low to 0.003, because this is a relatively small scene. Like, this is not real world scale, which might be something that I should have fixed. As you can see, well, it's close to world scale. This would be like a normal human, so the tree doesn't look that big, to be honest, so I think I think we're close to world scale. So 0.003 in my case is what was allowed me to get this very nice like hazy effect. So you can see the colors on the back trees right there are less saturated than the ones up here. Now the image that you see on the back, it's actually the HDRI. I normally take it out, but in this case, it actually like fitted very nicely with the composition. So I decided to just keep it to make sure that the sky and everything looked really nice and really natural. And yeah, thanks to that combination of elements, we were able to get to this point. So I just want to show you real quick how we started, because some people were asking like, "Oh, I can't wait to see how all of this ends." So this was the first video that we did, just the basic model of the Pokeball, and then we did the textures, and then we did this basic introduction to the lights and to the content browser so that we can bring in some other assets. And then this was a test that I was doing, and that's a profile picture of myself. So this is it. So this is the final result. And yeah, as you can see, and hopefully as you could see throughout this like small series, you can create very cool looking images without that much problems. Like I'm sure anyone who's just starting their 3D career can get to a point very close to this one, because as we mentioned, we did model our Pokeball ourselves, but all of the other assets are assets that we got online from available sources, free sources, like completely that we can completely share. Now, if I were to place this on my portfolio, this is a very important distinction. If I were to place this on my portfolio, I would place a note saying that the trees and the little flowers were from someone else. In this case, from Polyhaven or from the authors that did the original photo scan, because you cannot and you should not claim ownership of things that are not yours. You can use them; it's perfectly fine. It's there are actually CC0, so they're commercially licensed and everything, but you should not say that you made them. That's I would say unethical. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Maybe now Game Freak will watch our channel and they'll see the powerful things that they can do with 3D and improve their rendering and their engine, right? I know this is not real-time engine, but I really hope Pokemon gets better in the next couple of years, because graphics do let a lot to be desired. So that's pretty much it, guys. There's probably not going to be a video tomorrow, but I'll see you back on Monday to continue with more stuff. Let me know in the comments if there are specific topics that you want me to talk about. It's always those are always recommended, because I tend to run out of ideas. I've been doing this pretty much one single video, trying to keep it different for the whole year. So we're at the end now, and it's becoming a little bit difficult to think about more stuff to teach you guys. But yeah, let me know, and I'll be happy to do so. And don't forget to share, like, subscribe, all of the stuff that helps the channel. That's it for this one. And if you want to check any of our courses, I talk about this again in the Substance class, in the Maya class, in the Cinematic class. There's a lot of classes out there, and we always offer very cool and competitive prices. So make sure to check the links down here, and I'll see you guys back on the next one. Bye-bye.